Hello everybody and welcome on my journey to watch 500 films in 1 year. The next 11 films I watched were all of the movies in the Ju-on franchise. Ju-on the Curse is about a teacher who visits the house of one of his students after the boy goes missing, only to have a horrifying excuse for his absence from school. Ju-on the Curse 2 is about the spiritual sister of a real estate agent who visits a house he intends to sell, only to cross paths with its resident curse. Ju-on the Grudge is about a mysterious and vengeful spirit who marks and pursues anybody who dares enter the house in which it resides. Ju-on the Grudge 2 is about the effect the Psyche family curse has on a TV horror show being filmed in their afflicted house. The Grudge is the US version of the Japanese film and is about an American nurse living and working in Tokyo who is exposed to a mysterious supernatural curse, one that locks a person in a powerful rage before claiming their life and spreading to another victim. The Grudge 2 is the sequel to the US version of the Japanese film. It is made up of 3 interwoven stories about the Psyche curse. The Grudge 3 is the last US movie in the series and is about a young Japanese woman who holds the key to stopping the evil spirit of Kayako. Ju-on White Ghost steps away from the Psyche family murders and explores curses affecting other Japanese residents. Ju-on Black Ghost revolves around a hospitalised young girl who discovers that a cyst found in her body is actually the physical remnant of her unborn twin. Ju-on The Beginning of the End is a reboot of the series, retelling the events of the cursed Psyche family that centres on a house in Narima, Japan. Ju-on The Final Curse continues from the previous film and follows the sister of Yui Shono as she tries to find out what happened to her sibling and endeavours to end the Psyche family curse for good. This franchise was created by Takashi Shimizu, who attended the Film School of Tokyo, and the inspiration came apparently from his own personal fears as a child of a Japanese dance group that would paint their nude bodies white and perform. The first feature film in the franchise, following 2 short films, is clearly made on a very low budget and was a V film, which means it was released straight to video. The story is told in an anachronistic order through 6 segments, each titled after a character central to the plot. And there are some extremely unsettling elements. The cat noises which emanate from the little boy are still haunting me. Superstition also plays a part in the storyline. The number 4 in Japanese is a homophone of the Japanese character for death. People with an eagle eye will spot Chiaki Kuriyama in an early role. She played Go-Go in Kill Bill. And while the acting in general isn't Oscar-worthy, I found it passable. The second film is quite a letdown because the recap of the first film, which should have been a brief summary of the story thus far, used far too much of the exact same footage, so less than half of the movie is new material. It also grated a little that none of the characters tried to get up and head for the hills when faced with such a frightening apparition. Granted, I am sure many people would be frozen in fear, but surely everyone wouldn't have had the same reaction. Ju-on the Grudge is the best film in the Japanese part of the franchise in my opinion, and is a sequel to the first 2 films as opposed to a remake as is commonly believed. The story starts off innocently enough, but soon becomes more frightening. Strong and lasting images seeped through to my dreams after watching this one, and I found the flashes of Toshio just at the edges of the screen to be really effective. I can't say I liked Ju-on the Grudge 2 very much, as the story arc goes off in a direction I didn't particularly warm to. That said, there is a largely female cast who all do a satisfactory job of carrying the movie, and there are some good effects used. Takashi Shimizu also directed The Grudge, the American remake, based on the first theatrical version of Ju-on, but containing elements of all of the 4 Japanese movies. But Sam Raimi was on board this time around as producer, and Steven Susko wrote the movie. I'm normally dead against remakes of cult movies, but I felt the increased budget and benefit of hindsight for the writer-director meant that this version flowed slightly better and pulled the different plot threads together in a more significant way. I also liked the fact that someone actually tried to stop the curse, as opposed to allowing it to occur time and time again without taking action. The Grudge 2 is not a remake of any Japanese film and follows a different storyline. There is good continuity from the previous movie, and the acting performances are convincing, although the score sounded like it would have been at home in a Hellraiser movie. There is a particularly good scene in a photography darkroom, and it was fun to see a cameo from Isao Yatsu, who was in Ju-on the Grudge. The Grudge 3 is the worst of the American movies. It is sparse on scares, the effects are terrible, and the film as a whole is quite bland. There is quite a bit of gore though, and there is a cute actor to be distracted by. Apologies, but I'm trying to find the positives. Ju-on White Ghost and Black Ghost were made in honour of the 10th anniversary of the Ju-on series, and while Takashi Shimizu supervised both movies, different directors were used. I have to admit I preferred Black Ghost, which is quite controversial as White Ghost is considered the better film, but I found that to be extremely disturbing and uncomfortable to watch in places. Ju-on the Beginning of the End and Ju-on the Final Curse had no involvement from the series creator, and alters the backstory set up in the preceding movies. Despite the fact that the look of the movies was all wrong, the grading was far too luminous, I quite liked the alternative explanation for the Psyche family curse, and the speed at which Kayako moved in the beginning of the end. The final curse, however, provided neither a satisfactory end to the franchise, nor any terrifying elements. Clearly, there are a lot of movies in this franchise, and I had mixed opinions about the different offerings, both American and Japanese. I felt as if Ju-on the Grudge, and The Grudge 2 were the best movies, so I give them a thumbs up. But despite the fact that there were some winning elements in all of the other movies, and the fact that the original premise is an excellent one, I feel as if the amount of movies made was completely unnecessary, so I give the rest a thumbs down. Please join me for my next review, where I'll be continuing with the J-horror theme and talking about all of the movies in the Ring franchise. Thanks for taking the time to listen, and I hope to hear from you soon.